Hi there, we're in the second part. Please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings. I'm out here trying to disincentivize bad men, and I'm going to tell you a dream later. From slapping women with Korobela, I'm tired of seeing Korobela dreams. Like, I'm really tired of it. I'm going to tell you the one dream that I got, and you're going to be like, whoa, what's going on, right? When I tell it to you, but we're not done. First, I was talking about how it is that a person is made a particular way. God has made all of us differently, you know. He has created different personalities in us, different preferences. It's why you have a crush on Neil and not on, Zola on the right of him. It's why you have a crush on Tepo and not on Tabo. Yeah, it's because there's something that juices you, that Tepo got, that Tabo don't, like proper. And Korobela is this thing that's putting a woman in a position, or a man, but remember, I'm speaking to women for women. And I'm also trying to speak to men who are, at this point, the ones throwing the Korobela in the ecosystem of women that have not had it coming. And that's what I'm seeing in my dreams. It's not just me. In my dream, it was some other female that was under Korobela. And Menghambana, she was my best friend in the dream. I didn't recognize her though, like as anybody I know in waking life. And she was literally dying with passion for some guy. Oh God. Omutumpan, kakorobela guys. Like, nah, dudes, like, yes, God, I'm so tired. I'm just exhausted, y'all. But it's okay, we'll keep talking. Korobela, let's talk. Like, usually it's a territorial display by men to do Korobela. A woman doesn't want you and then you're like, you're gonna take me. And then you pride yourself in the fact that I got the woman that didn't want me, having manipulated spirits. But you're not calculating what this woman wants in a man. And you're also not calculating that there will be somebody out there in the future that she will cross paths with, unless you're so psychopathic that you're keeping her in the house 24 hours a day. Yeah, there will be somebody that she will meet out there that's going to do it for her, that's going to turn her on with the things that she prefers. In other words, if you're boring, like the guy from the US was boring, and this chick meets a funny guy that makes her giggle from here to Timbuktu without even trying, it's inevitable that she's going to develop feelings for him and then find you lackluster, find you boring. I'm not speaking about losing juice in a marriage, fine, so stuff like that does apparently happen. I wouldn't know, I've never been married. And I've also never lost juice in a relationship, but yeah, stuff like that does happen. Never lost juice. Even in my 5-year relationship, my ex became a fool, but juice was never lost. Yeah, and when you lose juice, then all of a sudden somebody else looks like they got better juice, that's just being naughty and silly and not exercising self-control and beating your flesh into submission. You know, when you get into a marriage with somebody, what you're marrying and how heavily and violently in love with him you are. So when you start to lose juice, you better find a juicer, find a blender, and put yourself in it and get juiced, make it work, like goodness. But there are people who ain't never had juice. Like, there was never any juice. We're talking about a prune over here, bit of a dried apricot. It's always been a dried fruit. And there's nothing at all that can ever, juice. Hebatung juice, guys, juice, you've always been that prune. You've always been that raisin. But you out here properly still getting married. Why are you getting married as a raisin? Like, you should be a full grape. A full grape, so that if at all you experience somewhere along the way in your marriage being converted into a grape, into a raisin, you will remember that you entered the marriage as a grape, and so yours is to go and find you some water, find you some juice. But when you've always been a grape, where are you gonna find the juice? Where are you gonna find it's never been there. You can't just manufacture juice ex nihilo. How are you gonna go and think that Korobela's gonna give you juice? Ex nihilo is how God created the earth. He created the whole planet out of nothing, something out of nothing. Yeah. Witches think they're God, and so they're out here trying to manufacture juice. I'm sorry. Korobela cannot buy you juice. It really can't. Juice happens when two people meet and they have so much in common. They are compatible. Everything about them makes sense, and therefore they turn up to the party. They turn up to the situation looking like fresh strawberries. Yeah, but if you want amatokomane, hard knock calloused strawberries that have been dejuiced, made dry for muesli, yeah, you will end up married to a guy that doesn't juice it for you, but somehow you've got strong feelings, because that's just what Korobela does. It brings feelings in a person's heart that don't belong to them. It makes them lust. Lust is the operative term. It's never love, it's lust. It makes them lust after the object of their juicing. And so here it is now that you just want to lay with this guy that you have nothing in common with. I'm not saying they will cheat, because women tend to delay. They tend to hesitate when it comes to cheating in a way that men, more easily go out like that. But as territorial as men are, you don't want some other dude making your woman giggle up a storm like no man's business. Oh, Tabo. Oh, stop, dude. Goodness. Oh, ain't no man want to see their women doing that with another guy. Like, no man wants to see their women on some, oh, it's okay. Like, no, like you did what? No, really? You will fight. You might even become a bit violent. And then this guy will go America. You Turner, girl, you know I don't play. Eat the cake, anime. Eat the cake, anime. He was Ike Turner. Not long dumpa that guy for simply laughing at the joke of a teller. He was gonna beat me up for simply making a joke with a petrol attendant. That Ogie was going to shapamiga tufitang dripela nkutla just because I spoke a little bit longer with the clerk, the bank clerk that was printing my statements. Go banking. That dude was going to punch me when we got home just because I had a conversation with the pastor after church that lasted a little longer than a normal conversation with him would last, since he's so boring. So thank God we escaped Ike Turner. He was that type, right? But never mind knowing that the guy is violent. It's just the fact that he was boring. Blah. And what I imagine to be irresponsible intellectually, I can't say he was dumb. He was just intellectually irresponsible. He was credulous. He was gullible. He allowed himself to get taken to and from by every wind of doctrine, and I had no respect for that. There are very intelligent people in this world that believe rubbish. So I'm not saying that guy was dumb. If he was, I wouldn't have spoken with him at length at all. But he was definitely credulous. He was fluffy. He was flaccid. He was movable. Yeah, he wasn't like Mount Zion. That's what's good. I spoke about that yesterday. And then there was the issue with a mindset, things in this world, what you believe as a woman. So I grew up among certain kinds of guys that I used to hang out with. And among them, there was just a tacit understanding. Women can work, they can thrive and be independent and get their own everything and still be lovable, marriable, and never mind that, but also there is a way to talk to women where you will listen and then respond after she's done talking. I grew up among guys that heard me out, and I also grew up among guys that would never have ever laid a hand on a woman. I have never hung out amidst guys that were typically into slapping girls and stuff like that. So when you're the kind of guy that is just so untrained in how to relate with women, when they talk, you get agitated and aggro. You're always interjecting. You're a little passive aggressive, where you get irritated at their desires, their pursuits, their ambitions. You think that, like, a man that can easily say, I mean, one thing that this guy from the US said one time was that when he was complaining about his ex-wife, he said something along the lines of, I was naive to think that I could turn a whore into a housewife. He said that. Like, the fact that he could so easily say that. He said of his wife that I was naive to think that I could turn a whore into a housewife. That's the kind of stuff that never left lips of guys I used to hang out with back in the day. Because I just never hung out around such guys. Like, it was so unheard of. Where guys would just, like, look at a woman and be like, hey, if I could just put her in a house and shit and rip her out of corporate. Because I'm the kind of guy I want, like, that level of backward, misogynistic, chauvinistic 20s mindset. I frankly just happened upon it afresh in this dude from the US. He was something else. And I'm pretty sure men in America are not all typically like that. But he was like that. And I know there are guys like that feel like umfazi kwamele abe endlini, a woman must be in the house. A woman must cook. This man was never trained how to love women, how to respect women. He's just always been so rough, so gintery. And he's always only ever been around women that always needed a guy to pay the way. Always needed a guy, like the kinds of women that take a guy slapping them because they don't have anything else. They're not going to school, they're not studying, they're not trying to get their own. They are 100% reliant on boyfriends until these men make them wives. So they take also cheating in their stride. He never grew up among independent women. He grew up in, like, you know, sort of kind of ghetto America, and where women just take a lot of rubbish because I ain't got nowhere else to go. I need my man to take care of me fully, through and through. That's the kind of man he was. He grew up in an environment where he was entitled to being a domineering sovereign patriarchy. That's not what I grew up in. I grew up in middle class South Africa, where boys and girls in school were both competing for grades, and we dated guys that understood that we're going to university, and dated guys that we met in corporate, working jobs, who never expected us to suddenly be barefoot pregnant in the kitchen once we're married. Like, those are the guys I hung out with. Those are the kinds of guys that I hung out with. So it was just such a strange phenomenon to meet a man that had that kind of mindset. It's like I got thrown into squalor and destitution, and then I attracted the kinds of guys that can only be with a woman that has nothing, that needs him for everything. It's one thing to meet a man in squalor and destitution, as I am in, that is like the kinds of guys that I used to hang out with back in the day. That, however, is content insofar as she loves him back, to take her as asokola and help her get her life back. You know, help her. I'm on some, I like her, and make something out of her. It's one thing altogether to meet that, because that's what I thought I likely was dealing with. Somebody that would have met a woman emaplazini and been prepared to get where she needs to get. I was dealing with a dude that finds a woman in the plazi and wants to keep her in the plazi and believes all women should stay in the plazi, and if they try to leave the plazi, they're disrespectful. That, yo, dudes, like, yeah, but Yazi, anomalous, creepy stuff did I happen upon just because of suffering. I lost a job. I like to say that I lost a job and people lost their minds. I've met some pretty strange people I never used to frequent the aisles of because they were not in my league. And like, yeah, anyway. So, he easily could speak stuff like that because he was never trained not to say such things. He never imagined them as a taboo. That's the kind of man that would have had some kind of issues, had qualms with my desires to break through. That's the kind of man that if at all I felt like I wanted to fight MTN, get my lawsuit from the off the ground and fight, now that I was like okay financially, he would have been like, but for what? He would have hated my strength, my intelligence. The kind of woman that I was back in the day, he wouldn't have been able to come into her life and neither interested in her, because I would have been unmanageable. He always wanted his women manageable, bite-sized, and he found me in a bite-sized position, but with a big, finding somebody that is bite-sized and misplaced, because she's not the type to stay bite-sized. Manje, stuff like that. Yeah, no. Irreconcilable differences. I told you I was going to end up a punching bag. I was going to end up getting beaten up by this guy. I was also going to want stuff, and he was not going to be able to put me but he was not going to be able to hold me down. He was not going to be able to keep me lowly and unambitious like his previous women. And so he would have ended up trigger happy, unleashing a live round into my skull on this one, I can't control her. And then he would have killed me. But if it didn't get there, because right now I'm not even talking about this guy from America, but some other Korobela tactic that I saw in my dream, even if it doesn't get to a point where a man is killing a woman because he feels like he can't handle her, he can't keep her in a bunch, she's she's a lizard. She is what do they call her, a lizard? And whatever, you get my point. But this woman was going to have her own ambitions, and this guy was going to be irritated with her desire to push for more. I remember us having a conversation about he wanted to buy a house cash somewhere in Joburg and wanted me to basically look out for houses, and I did, and I told him the price ranges, blah blah blah, etc. And then I kept on telling him, what then after that? Because the house that he would have purchased would have been, in comparison to what I ultimately wanted to live in, it was lowly. I still had ambitions to basically, never mind extend that one, but move out, rent it out, let some other people live there, and then go on right ahead to move into a bigger, better house. I've always had a dream to live in a house that had an island in the center, because I am quite the baker, and I also was, before I lost everything, quite the host. And so I wanted a big kitchen that had an island in the center where I could prepare food, where if at all I was hosting an event, I would put my casseroles there, etc. An island in the center that's also got pans hanging, pots hanging. That's like the kitchen that I always fathomed I wanted, type thing. The houses we were looking at were nowhere near that level of elaborate. But these are my ambitions. It's what I've always wanted. And this guy wanted me to just settle for just enough. And he got so upset when I asked him, what more? We need to get more. We need to strive for more. We need to work together to basically grow super big so we can move out and get a better house. And this guy was like, why under heaven, when you already have a house to live in? You've got a house. You've got everything. You have a house. You've got running water. You've got electricity. Why are you trying to get out of that? Like, he was literally arguing with me on some, be content, for crying out loud. Stop being greedy. You have all you need. This is a man talking to a woman with so much ambition that he could not fathom why I was thinking that way. And the fact that he could not fathom why I was thinking that way was just a massive alarm bell to let me know that this is not the guy for you. Because he's the kind of dude that's going to be content with buying some 3-bedroomed house that he's going to live in forever. Children growing up in it from like grade 0 to matric, and when they go and they visit their parents they go back to that house. There's no way under heaven that I would ever have been the kind of parent whose children know one home that they grew up in from the time they were out of the womb to moving out, that they, upon visiting their parents when they're now adults, go back to the same house. There's no way that would ever have been my house. There's no way. There is no way. I understood that I was going to grow from strength to strength to strength, and my kids were going to, every couple of years, move. Why? Because mom and dad were going to upgrade. It was like, that was just it. I was not ever going to be able to afford, at the very beginning of my marriage, the kind of house that I ultimately wanted. I used to watch these shows, not Extreme Makeover, and I still do to this day on YouTube. But there was a show on DSTV back in the day that showed home makeovers. Yo, guys, my mom is also like that. A massive fan of home and decor, such that, like, proper. There is no way under heaven that I would have ever been content with one house for 20 years. It would never happen with me. Never. Like, properly, it would never happen. For the sake of not moving the kids out of schools and stuff, I would have stayed maybe in the same city, but certainly not the same house. Certainly not the same house. It just would not have happened. And this dude wanted us to buy some sikoti that was just enough for the two of us and maybe some 2 new babies. And us never get out of there. Yo, this is Karabo, but that's the thing. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know how I used to think. Yeah, it's a completely different guy here. This is somebody that has a very different mindset from what I grew up with. He doesn't get it. And if he doesn't get it, he will never get it. He will always think of me as greedy. And really, frankly, I want more than what he can afford. But that's just the thing. I wasn't even trying to make it about you affording it alone. I wasn't some irresponsible little Bobby girl trying to get Ken to buy me a mansion. I wanted to be able to afford to get the mansion. The two of us. A house that is the type of stuff that MTV home makeovers or whatever is made of. I wanted a beautiful but warm home. Not too big, however, very spacious, very roomy and very homey. I wanted to ultimately get, maybe by the time my kids got to the age of, let's say, 14, 15, then maybe we might stay in the same house and never move again. But from the time when they are like fresh out of the womb, we are dealing with maybe like at least like 3 to 4 movings of homes. 3 to 4. Why? Because we're growing in grace. We're growing in strength. We're getting promotions. We are buying new homes. As a result, we're able to, you get my point, level up. Like, this dude was not interested in leveling up. I was like, yo, this guy's retired in his mind. Retired, he's done, he's finished. That's the thing. He was married twice before. And he is meeting a woman that is yet to move into a home with her husband for the first time ever. I'm like a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed 24-year-old bride in my heart and in my mind. But he is a middle-aged man with 2 ex-wives, and he thinks that this woman is too ambitious. Yo, Yazi, bring me down to your level, why don't you? Stuff like that. When a man has got that kind of mindset, and then he slaps you with korobel, he sees you. Like when this guy found my content on YouTube, I was still underground, and the background environment that I was recording from was my apartments before I lost everything. I lived in some pretty beautiful apartments. If you were to see those videos on YouTube, you would also agree. They currently privatized, but I had very beautiful apartments, fully furnished and with great finishings. Dude, that was a young woman that would obviously just continue to level up from there. You saw how I used to live, and then you want to make me settle for some mokoti that really frankly is okay as a starter pack. Why at 40 am I doing starter? But you know, we understand. I went through a rough patch, but it's gonna be a starter pack. It's not the end. It can't be. Not for me. I will never be content. I will never be content in an environment of that nature, because I knew how I am. And if a man does not understand that the two of us gotta level up, we gotta grow together, we're going into the sunset, we're gonna balloon, but he just wants to stay in Jeffela chilling. There are women that are cool with that. All I want is a house. Okay, girl, go get your house. But there are others that want finishes. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are others that want to level up. There are others that want an island. I literally took it to God in prayer. I was like, Father, please bless me with a house that has a kitchen that has an island in the center, so I can roll my puff pastry with ease, without bashing into the bread bin, without bashing into the corner of the stove, give me so much space that I can make all the puff pastry that I want. I want an island kitchen, or a kitchen that has an island in the center. Yeah. And that dude was basically telling me to give up on that prayer. That house was too small for us to fit an island, and even if we did, it would be fostering. You know how some people foster with yards that are the size of a peanut to put a swimming pool in the back? The type of swimming pool where you splash in and just kind of stand in one spot because you can't actually do actual laps. It would have been fostering. That's what's good. When a man does not get that mindset in a woman, if he feels like you are greedy or overambitious or overzealous, you have no business being together. If he thinks that your mindset is too broad or that you are naive, then go and be with somebody who don't think you're naive then. Someone that thoroughly imagines that what you're thinking is feasible. It's well within reach. That dude was so retired, he was so finished living, he was so done living that he could not take my big dreams. Yeah. But like Korobela will cause you to fall in love with a man like that. Korobela will make you think it's okay to walk down the aisle to a man like that. You will know what you're uncomfortable with. On your wedding day, it would be like wearing a somnganga somtsompareng. It's like you're wearing some tight figure hugging dress that's not gonna accommodate you eating. Never mind a 3-course meal, but a pea. Mara, we're not busy just so you can have that somnganga somtsompareng, so you can look really good and slender. You're gonna go and wear a dress that is 2 sizes too small on your wedding day. It's going to give way as you walk down the aisle, girl. There's gonna be a rip that's gonna embarrass you, exposing the moon behind there. That's what's good. Just because when you just are desperate to walk down the aisle, to sing I do my I I got this question for you, did see I do my Lanza can put the lyrics, yeah, but you will want to say that. And so you will literally wear too tight an outfit, and the tightness of that outfit, analogically or metaphorically, rather represents the man that you're marrying. He is like a tight wedding gown, 2 sizes too small, and you are like shuffling as you walk down the aisle. You're not even walking, the way it is so tight, but you still out here trying to put a ring on your finger from that dude. He has made you uncomfortable, squeezy, moving into a house where, hey, Alice in Wonderland, have you seen that scene in the show where she eats some little cookie that makes her too big, and then next thing she's like, scrunching up. She's scrunching up in the house. She's hitting the ceiling. Yeah, and she's like, I'm too big. I need to go outside. Because the cookie she ate made her too big. You're gonna be like Alice that done eaten a cookie that made you too big, and when you go home, you're gonna be hitting like a door. What do you call that thing? Like, you know, is it the rim? Angasi. You'll be hitting the door rims. You'll be like, you know, bashing into some chandeliers the way you're so tall. You'll be out here hitting corners of like furniture the way there's just no space to move. Of course, proverbially, metaphorically, in a marriage. Squeezy, tight, can't move left, can't move right. Everything's, hey, it's like I grab a bribe, like, Jeffella, just to relax. Yeah, but that's the man that you're with. Every time you want to level up, he imagines you as one greedy, that is rapacious. He thinks of you as one that is insensitive to his abilities, and also one that is too demanding or too what is this, like you've got your head in the sky. You're unrealistic, sisters. Come on, like proper. You are hard to please. You are ungrateful. Batong. I just wanted an island in the center of my kitchen, and I'm ungrateful. Why? I'm so smart that I'm the kind of woman that could have been able to afford a house that has a kitchen so big that it has an island in the center. So why, since I'm still that smart and I haven't lost anything of that je ne sais quoi, must I now suddenly realize myself as one that's ungrateful? Explain, please, brother. And then when you work alone on that particular goal, they become passive aggressive because men love to provide. Yeah. Marakorobela will make you walk down the aisle to a guy that is gonna make you a little bomba wearing the dress of a figurine on your wedding day. But hey, like I said, korobel. So men are not thinking about stuff like that. So if at all you've korobeled a woman and now she's your wife, and this woman still has all these ambitions, and then she meets a guy out there that is going to be like, yeah, girl, go grab your own. I agree. And he is like, birds of a feather flock together. They agree on the same stuff. She gonna be coveting another woman's husband. She's going to have an affair. And Janung, that's the thing that causes men to lose their minds, isn't it? When women cheat on them, sometimes you even go to the point of killing the females. You are territorial. So as territorial as you are as men, why under heaven are you insisting on korobela? Because you are marrying women that you are incompatible with. They like other things. They like other people naturally. They naturally gravitate towards other things. And yet you are forcing them in a union with you. When you talk, she's not laughing. You are boring. She's exhausted with you. Oh, goodness gracious. Another thing about this guy from the US, always I have to use him because frankly, that was a mistake that I nearly made. So it's worth the while to use it as an example. This guy was not saved, but I was, of course, right? And he was, I know for a fact that he used to watch porn, but that was something that I got in a dream, right? That's what the Lord showed me through dreams and visions, etc. But nothing that he ever would confess himself. Masturbator, still a fornicator. It had not been very long since he last had sex, but then claimed now that he was celibate. All right? This man had a sexual perversion. This is something that I knew for a fact. There was one time when I was having a conversation with him, and you know how sometimes I can speak in different accents. Yeah, I spoke to him, I think with a British accent, or somehow there, how you doing? Just being funny, okay? And then he was like, I like that accent, it reminds me of role play, roleplay, role play. And I was like, role play. I did not contest or argue too much with that guy because I was severely compromising and I was under a spell. But to me, it was like role play. I have never in my life, I was a fornicator prior to coming to Christ, but I've never, with any of my boyfriends with whom I did fornicate, I've never played dirty little sex games in the bedroom. It was never my kind of thing. And I was also never into guys into that kind of stuff. Like wearing a little nurse's outfit, wearing a little doctor's outfit, wearing a little like a dominatrix outfit, fishnet stockings. Oh goodness, no. I've never been that girl. Neither did I ever desire to be that girl. I did not have a low-key fetish to be that girl. I found it tactless. I wanted nothing to do with it. Sex has always been kind of sacred to me, even though I was fornicating. I did not want a guy treating me like a harlot in the bedroom, like a prostitute. I would not have wanted a guy to basically vomit his fetishes on me. I would have been absolutely and 100% felt very violated. I remember one time having a conversation with my cousin and her friend. Well, it was also low-key my friend, but more my cousin's friend. And and another girl as well, like 4 of us were there, and we were talking about sex. You know how women, we talk about sex, guys, in the world, you're always talking about sex, baby, whatnot. And this, my cousin's best friend, actually, she was my cousin's best friend. My cousin's best friend then was like, just like it, guys, I was so upset the other day. I was out here getting down with my boyfriend, and it was a new boyfriend that she was having sex with for the first time. And she's like, I got so mad. She used the P word. She was like, I got so pissed because he decided to freaking spank me. He decided to spank me, and we laughed. We laughed at her and said, wah, kwa, 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 wah, kwa, kwa. Come on, your boyfriend spanked you. Wah, kwa, 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 kwa. 1 minute. Yeah, okay, so, sorry, I had to, do some edits. Yeah, this girl goes on right ahead and tells us that her boyfriend spanked her, the guy that she was with, and we all were laughing at her on some wah, quah, 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 quah. You got subjugated to that. Essentially, all of us were grossed out by the fact that he did that. We knew that the only reason why a guy would do that is because he's wholeheartedly addicted to pornography. Because where under heaven would you ever find that? Or he's got some kind of a sexual perversion. That he's got some kind of what is this? Is it a domineering, like a fetish? It's fetishistic, like bondage and using whips and spanking and all that jazz. Like rough is fetishistic and demonic. And even though we were not saved, we nonetheless got that. We understood that was like a whole thing. It was an issue. And this girl, her boyfriend, subjugated her to the tyranny of being spanked, and she got mad. She got angry, and then told us that she basically told him, if you ever do that again, you will literally never ever see me. So now that you understand what kind of context I come from, what kind of ecosystem I was raised in, I would never have been the kind of woman to just 1 minute. I would never have been the kind of woman to do funny little strange stuff in bed. This guy grew up in a completely different ecosystem from me. He was a completely different kind of guy. He grew up amidst a completely different kind of people, and they did completely different things. And girls in that ecosystem embraced completely different things too. In the bedroom, fetishistic. He just had a lot of sexual, and he was also heavily fetishistic. So I imagine that this dude would have probably subjugated me to the tyranny of, on our wedding night, like proper spanking me. I would have been shocked out of my mind, just like that woman, that girl back in the day, the friend of ours, telling us that, well, guys, you're not going to believe what my boyfriend did. I was so mad. But this time around, it's not a boyfriend. It's a husband. It's somebody that you married. And he's out here whipping you. He's out here spanking you. And then he also expects role play in the bedroom. Look, I get that there are people who are content with that kind of rubbish, and I have never been at ease with it, even before I came to Christ. I was never what they would call a freak. Yeah, no, that's not me. So if at all you find that boring as a man, fine, go on a porn set, go and find some prostitute, or go and find a woman in this world that's happy to give you that whole experience, a nun experience that you're gonna have sex with, wearing a nun's outfit, or wearing a waitress outfit, or wearing a whatever, like proper, a farmer's outfit, wearing a cowboy outfit, and then like that jumping up and down like you're on a horse, like Genuine in the music video, yeah, pony, for crying out loud. In the bedroom, I would feel all of those theatrics are just perversions of sex that would have nothing to do with God first and foremost. And even prior to me coming to Christ, I still wanted nothing to do with them. It was for some other creepy, weird people. And it is unfortunate for anybody that has graduated to that level. It is unfortunate for anybody that has gone on to that place where they have allowed themselves to walk in sexual perversions, because that's what is happening all over Netflix. Because that's what women in Sex and the City are talking about. Because that is what women in shows that are very, look highly, revered by young women. That's what they're covering. That's what they're doing in these shows. And so now women that before have never been spanked are suddenly happy to experiment with spanking by boyfriends. I know the world is getting darker and darker. And I know that likely even that same woman that could not, that was shocked out of her mind and annoyed at a boyfriend that spanked her, likely today is content to be spanked by the man that she is with, right? I know that people have declined morally, but I haven't. Why? Because I came to Christ. And so more so are those things an abomination to me. But this dude, not only do I suspect that he would have likely spanked me if we got married, but he would have also expected other things of me to be done. He would have experimented with other things, other toys, paraphernalia. Why? Because he hinted when we were talking. He wouldn't stop sexual talking to me, even when I told him I'm being stumbled, until eventually I accommodated it. I allowed him to speak that way. And frankly, he was going into territory that I have never been experimented on by any boyfriend I've ever had. And I have had one super pervert like freak of a boyfriend in the past before. And he never did that. He never expected that. Yeah, that's what's good. I've dated one player guy that I did not trust at all with my body, but nonetheless, I dated him. And even he didn't put me through that. So I don't even know what under heaven I would have experienced. But that's the kind of stuff that you enter into a marriage, you find it out, you're turned off, and that's just, it's there. It's just gawking at you. When then you go to some Christian, fellowship, and on that day you're talking about sex in that particular fellowship, like a singles ministry or whatever, or a ministry where sex is being spoken about and what's allowable, because as believers we get to cover these things in the Word of God as they are aligned to the Word of God. And then you start to hear the opinion of a guy in the room about certain practices that, are aligned to your own heart. And then you start to covet not being with him. You start coveting the fact that, why is my husband not like that? Does my husband not understand that you don't get to just hit me? Because frankly, there's abuse. Or you don't get to hit me in the bedroom. You don't get to do that. And again, where did you see that? Where did you see that? Where did you see that? You could not have just manufactured it at the top of your brain. You must be watching a whole bunch of pornography for you to all of a sudden desire to do that in the bedroom. The fact that he wanted me to role play with him tells me that he has seen quite a few such scenes in pornography. That's a man that is still very much with certain imagery in his mind. And he now wants to make his wife like some kind of a guinea pig for these experiments. Let me just get to the point here. Korobela, that you keep on slapping women all over the show with. Herein lies the unfortunate deal. Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, this woman is going to remember herself. She's gonna recognize what she wants and how it is that a man in her life, that is her husband, so violently falls short. And that's when you are going to basically start to lose the Korobela victim. There is a man actually where that happened. You know how I say this thing can go both ways, where women are slapping men with Korobela too? The guy that I thought would be my husband, that I mourned upon finding out that he had married another woman, he passed me up purely because I lost a job. We were in the process of perhaps maybe talking much deeper about the things of romance, and then I suddenly got thrown around, ping-ponged between wicked folk, and he was like, I've got options. He imagined himself that he had so many options. And for him to deal with a woman that was going through so much, being persecuted, it's going to mess with his clout, his street cred, and he passed me up. Well, the woman that he did marry, I've already spoken the story like a lot of times. First of all, she did a spell to put me in a river somewhere, bury me. I already made communication of this. She did not know me, but she cast a spell on this guy to make sure that any woman that has his heart, truly, does not, that he does not see her. Hasangoma made her buy paraphernalia, like lipstick, miria basadi, dikipa, dieta, stuff like that. Bury it, call it damong somewhere. And that would represent the woman that he is actually truly in love with. And after that day, he was blinded to seeing me, this guy. He basically just allowed himself to lose me. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Then he went on right ahead while you chat this girl that he met at a singles ministry, Esontwen. And this woman, so she made sure that he looks at no one but her, that he looks at no one. That was it, to tarry the attention of my man from any other woman. And then also I'm showing a Korobela and a Begaminakpela. That's what this chick did to this guy. And yeah, they got married on his wedding day. He was drunk. The wedding night he was drunk, from what it is that the Lord showed me. The Lord showed me a lot of this stuff because I was busy praying hard about him. During the time of him, like he got married, and I found out only a year later. And before I found out, I was still praying about him. And God would keep giving me dreams, and I didn't understand what these dreams meant. God was trying to show me he married somebody else. He went and married some other woman. And I had a myriad of dreams. Among the dreams that I had, the day when he got married, like his wedding night, apparently, allegedly, she surprised him. Dominatrix outfit, like fishnet stockings and everything. And he was turned off. When I saw that, I thought that God was showing me he's your man, he's your husband, because some woman wants him and he finds her a turn off because she's the kind of woman to wear like dominatrix stuff in the bedroom, and he's not that kind of guy. He doesn't want that. He wants basically clean sex. He does not want a woman that's a freak. He just wants love making. That's it. Like, please, like, let's just keep it basic. Yeah, anyway, whatever. This dude was turned off by her fishnet stockings, etc. I saw a lot about this particular including him being very unhappy at some birthday where this chick had thrown him a surprise birthday party. I was being shown a lot in the year that he got married. God trying to show me he is gone. Like, stop praying about this guy. I ultimately found out, and it shattered me, broke me to a million pieces, like way too late. I mourned over a season and ultimately got over it. But this guy is exactly the thing that I'm talking about. When you slap a person with witchcraft to be with you, when you insist on and also on ikorobela, you are putting yourself in a position to freak a person out on the wedding night. You are putting yourself in a position to, since you're a freak, you as a rando, you that nasty like dominatrix, you're the one that likes cracking a whip and wearing devil's horns in the bedroom, and you could be trying to titivate some other person with your sexual fetish. It's your obsession. You're the one that's taken over by that demon, but the person that you're dealing with doesn't have that problem. And then you rock up with fishnet stockings and some kwai in a bedroom with some dude looking at you on some, what are you doing? What are you doing? And this dude that I was in love with, that I had to get over because he went and married another woman, was given a surprise of his life on his wedding night, where it is that he wanted a pure little virgin girl, and he got himself a dominatrix, whip cracking, fishnet stocking wearing, random fetishistic female in the bedroom. He got a devil when he wanted a bride. That's what Korobela does. You set the person that you have Korobela in a position to find you a violent failure in loving them. And well, I mean, if that's the case, especially with men, you're gonna face hardship with being cheated on, girl. Your man is ever gonna have his head out in the sky looking for some girl that's pure. He is going to covet envy, women that don't have a sexual perversion. He is going to long and salivate after good girls. But he's a married man now. He's a married man now, isn't he? Yeah. So that's why you should just wait on the Lord before you find yourself shock attacked inside a marriage. And also, the best way to protect yourself from ikorobela is by serving Jesus, loving the Lord, that he might snap you out of it. That dude was going to surprise me on the wedding night. He was going to insist on using all different kinds of paraphernalia in the bedroom, when frankly your own plumbing is enough. Like, let's just work with that. That's what's good. He was gonna insist on showing me stuff like sex toys and what. Whoa, guys, that guy, I was in danger. I was in danger, and I was gonna be turned off by that. And y'all know how much more it takes for a woman to get to the height of sexual pleasure than a man. So when you're already turned off, it's like we're taking a plateau. Like, yeah, you're just gonna be lying there like a Nando's chicken. That dude was gonna show me flames. He was gonna show me flames. Yes, what? Flames. Yeah, I was gonna be shown flames. Hey, yeah, mega fosta, korobela something. And another thing that also causes people, men, to slap Korobela. This guy in the US was HIV positive, and he went and used Korobela to try and make me love him and accept him with his status. After we were talking, he went and tested and came back positive. He tried to let me go, realized that he couldn't, and then came back again with a whammy on some, you gonna love me anyway. So, Joanong, what in the world happens there? There are men all over the show, women too perhaps, who go test positive for HIV, realize how hard it is to fall in love when you are HIV positive, and then turn to witchcraft to make people be with them that they want, even in spite of having the disease. Basically, what is the word that I'm looking for? Improve their chances of getting exactly who they want, instead of having to settle for another HIV positive person or another person that is okay with their status but that they don't like as much as another person. When they like you a whole bunch and you're negative and it is a deal breaker for you and you don't want to be with them, like, what in the world? Like, when witchcraft can be used for anything in Jeffel. By the time this guy tried to come at me with his HIV, by then I was already moved on. I was like, he had already hurt me so much that I was like, because that was not what broke us up. What broke us up was that he went rude. He would not, there was like, this guy was just not for me. He was not for me. But he came in cracking a Korobela whip, and he was trying to be with a woman that didn't want to be with him. So now, when you are HIV positive and you make a woman fall in love with you and you make her accept your HIV status, that's something that a person is going to wake up inside a marriage and realize that this is too uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. I've never wanted to do it. It's a deal breaker. And so now all of a sudden, when the HIV in the run up to the wedding, you were content, you had spoken about it, you had both tested, you had both agreed that you are going to take all precautions to make sure that the one person stays negative while the other one is positive. But somewhere inside the marriage, she's going to look at him, see everything else that she doesn't like. The fact that you're boring, you don't make me laugh. I don't understand how you reach your inferences concerning arguments. You are a little freak that is out here trying to make out of me a sexual, like, diva, pervert, like, whatever, in the bedroom. And I find your fetishistic ways in the bedroom quite a turn off. And on top of that, you're HIV positive. I don't even understand why under heaven I am with you. Why am I with you? Because everything that you are, I did not want it. So now all of a sudden this woman is going to be looking outside on some footy. On top of that, I'm sick and tired of having to take medication when I'm not HIV positive. I'm sick and tired of having to take because people who are in a relationship with HIV positive people, there's meds that they have to take to prevent themselves from getting the illness. And also there's a lot of precautions that they have to take. This woman or man in the equation might get to a point where they're like, why am I on chronic medication when I don't have a disease? I just want to be free. And so this is when then she starts literally looking outside. So men, given how what is the word that I am looking for? Territorial you are over women, more even than the way that women are territorial over men, and how you want to rule. It is absolutely against your best interests to use Korobel on a woman that is not for you. There was this guy at MTN that slapped me with Korobel. I did not like him. I didn't find him attractive. He was a flagrant misogynist. He was a flagrant chauvinist. He would say things like, it must be that time of the month, so like take it easy. He used to take me over in my meetings, and when he tried to ask me out, I was shocked, because how are you going to be so rude to me as a project manager running the projects that you are a resource in? And then ask me out. How am I going to trust being your girlfriend? Besides, I was not attracted to him. I didn't understand what was going on there. Coupled with the fact that and I have a thing about teeth, okay? Which is another thing about this dude in the US. He's like, I have a thing about teeth. I'm sorry, everybody has their thing, guys. I have a thing about teeth. So I kind of prefer it for my guys' teeth to, more or less be like mine. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, I have a thing about teeth. I also have a thing about lips, but let's just keep quiet. I prefer men with bigger lips because I've only ever been with guys with bigger lips. Mazolo, ahadnok, amilomu. I prefer that. So that guy had some pretty skinny lips, and that was annoying to me. It was boring. I imagined that kissing would be boring, coupled with the fact that he had they were not where I needed. They were too small. His teeth were too small. I have a thing about teeth, okay? I was settling with this guy, like in the worst way. I was not attracted to him as much as I would have been, even though I was to a certain extent attracted to him. But never mind the physical appearance, right? This other guy, and for me it was like, I don't want a guy like go see an orthodontist and then come after 2 years and holler at me, right? Type thing. And besides, I wasn't attracted to him. The thing that didn't bother the most about that guy, never mind never mind amangata why he was rude. He was a misogynist. He was chauvinistic. He used to hook up below the belt comments against women in the office, and me too. Like he had offended me multiple times, and I had made war with him on these fronts. And he had told me, relax, you're taking it too seriously. So he didn't even apologize. That's the kind of guy that this Oki was, right? I wake up from a nightmare one night where it is that I'm married to him all of a sudden. My family has agreed for us to get married, and I'm his wife. And in my dream, I wanted nothing to do with him, but I was married to him. That was another form of ikorobel. Afterwards, that guy started acting a particular way around me on some trying to see if he can't again try, because he tried, it failed. He tried to shella, failed and then went and grabbed Korobela, came back again, and it was still failing. And he couldn't understand why under heaven this was failing. And I kept on getting dreams about this guy. However, if I had capitulated, so I was unmoved because I wasn't attracted to him at all. And nothing worked. Like, I wasn't interested in him. And on top of that, he was rude. I was not about to be with a guy that is so rude to me. Coupled with the fact that I would have hated kissing him. Moving on. Yeah. This guy, if I had settled, however, if I had taken him, if I had found myself married to him, I would have woken up in a marriage and been like, I would have woken up in a marriage and frankly found myself devastatingly irritated by how misogynistic my husband is, how chauvinistic my husband is, how he would just put me down because he can. How under heaven did I end up married to a man that hates women, a man that's rude to women? At some point, people snap out of this. So at some point they wake up and smell the coffee. They realize that they're in something that they were not supposed to be in. And there are more people waking up in marriages next to people they didn't sign up for. And so ending up doing what? Cheating. And as the epidemic of cheating that is increasing in women is creating a little bit of a tsunami because we don't historically have that problem. But when men are out of their way going into all manner and kinds of different strange spells to make sure that women that don't make sense to be with them get with them anyway. You're finding women now that are cheating with guys in the office. They are cheating with guys at school where they're studying part-time. They're cheating on them with like dudes in the church. They're cheating like proper. Women are getting chemistry with other men that they were better suited to be with, but are now married to guys that they are entirely incompatible with. And it's looking as if though this female just can't stop cheating. She's a nasty little harlot, and frankly, let's put her away. Or she is like Gomer. Except, bathong ke mo Tshepo or Vusi, o nyadisitse tjhere ya batho kankane. Vusi lesa the poor woman. And now Vusi has the brazen audacity to be mad, like throwing his toys out the cot. Like the big bad wolf, he's out here blowing steam, talking about how a woman is such a whore because she went out on him. Men, as territorial as you are, you don't want your women giggling at another man's jokes. You don't want your women looking at another man's teeth and saying, but I've always wanted a guy with straight teeth. You don't want your woman looking at another man that is not crazy in bed, is not going to basically fetishize the living daylights out of her to a point of wanting to crack a whip over her wearing leather thongs in a bed. But he's actually quite decent and polite. He's not a sexual pervert. He doesn't make an effort to cause this woman to stumble sexually because he respects her boundaries. And she like spazzing hard knock over this dude. Why? Because he is respectful of my sexuality. He's not trying to whip me. He's not trying to spank me in the bedroom. He is respectful of my body. Women are going to fall in love with other men, and now if they're in the world, they won't have the Holy Spirit to brittle them, telling them don't cheat. And so they will go on right ahead and experience whirlwind romances that are so passionate in comparison to what under heaven it is that they're dealing with. Their husbands are like a burp. And these men find out then ultimately that these women cheated, and it is these women that then end up looking like whores. It is these women that then end up like they could not keep their knickers in a bunch. They are the ones that look as if though they're village bicycles that will sleep with everybody out here in these streets, except, whoa, you lured her in like you were fishing with Korobela. You made a woman agree in a trance like a zombie to marry you when she could not laugh at your jokes, when she could not when you are sexually incompatible, when she did not find that you were on the same wavelength mentally, when she was not even physically attracted to you, and yet somehow she changed her mind. Now all of a sudden I would have found myself, if I had married that other guy, literally in bed with a man almost as a nigga mokaba. How does that even work? What can we do over here? Why do you have such a flat buttock but such a round belly? And why are your legs so skinny when your stomach is so big? I was going to be laying next to that bugger and wondering, how did I end up here? How did I end up here? And then found myself walking around in the building, go MTN, looking at all these other handsome men that are proportionate to their size. Even chubbier guys with bellies will look better than that guy. Because at least how under heaven? So you are proportionate. That dude was skinny with his home covered. He looked weird. I'm sorry. Does that make me shallow? No, it makes me a woman with preferences. God made us different. He said, go be fruitful, multiply. Made a whole bunch of people on the earth and made sure that, give or take, in any given moment, everybody will have someone that's attracted to them for whatever reasons that they're attracted to them for. Maybe you like him for his smile, maybe you like him for his body, maybe you like him for his face, maybe you like him for his mind, maybe you like him for his dad. Things attract people differently. And when you make a person be attracted to you by force, when she would not have been like that, you are asking to be cheated on later and then have the brazen audacity to turn around and call your woman a whore. The dream that I had was of some dude that I went to primary school with that broke the heart of some chick that I went to high school with. So I went to primary school with the guy and the girl I was in high school with. They met somewhere in high school. I don't know how they met. Maybe she was out there in the wilderness jumping up and down. And they were high school sweethearts. After high school, very shortly after high school, this chick started falling pregnant, having his children. And then next thing, they broke up. They didn't get married. And this woman became hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. And the thing about women who find themselves in such a bad knot, they become witches. This chick has put witchcraft on me personally. I don't know who else in the world out there she has put witchcraft on, but this man turned this woman into a witch, which is something that I keep on talking about over and over again. That these bad guys that hurt women, they end up converting these women into monsters. And that's why women need to wait on the Lord for husbands, so they don't, and they're not inclined towards devil worship later on due to bitterness. But that's one side of this particular story. Her issue was not shown me in the dream. What God showed me was the end result of this guy. Now that he's nearly 40, just like me. We were in the same grade. That girl, however, was younger than us by 1 year. In 1985, even though she was in our grade exactly. So she was one grade higher. She was 1 grade higher than her age. She was in my grade, so they were both in the same grade. Because he was in my grade. We were all in the same grade. And this dude went to a different high school than mine, but this chick met him out there in the wild, like I said, and they dated, and their relationship looked like it was strong for a season, right? And then it fell apart after she gave him babies. She shouldn't have given him babies out of wedlock, but I'm just saying, like, you know, these people, they do so much worse than their parents. The guy and the girl, both of them, their parents were still together all the way into old age, and then the two of y'all come together. Why did the parents not rebuke the babies that keep on getting popped? Why did the parents not be like, Tina, since a better thing, we raised you in a household where mom and dad were together all the way up until old age. Why are you breaking up? That you've put like 2 babies in, or 3, or however many babies they had. Anyway, whatever. This chick became super bitter, but the end result of the guy, after now he's now a middle-aged man. So he is no longer the young, handsome thing. Well, did I think he was handsome? It doesn't matter, man. You know, when guys in your primary school, you're always like, ew. So maybe he was handsome. But to me, he was just another one of these randoms out here, Moskolong, Bali busy. Yeah. Whatever, right. The end result of him, now that he's out of his youth and he is in his middle age, he's 39 now, today. He's starting to become a little bit of a butmadresa. He's starting to become, you know, whatever happens to men when they get to middle age. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. It's like, come on, how can you be so cool at 26 and then be so whack at 41? Maintain your swag, man. Anyway, whatever. So this dude is becoming a typical midlife crisis, middle-aged guy. Here it is at 39. Some people don't agree that 39 is middle age, but it is. Like, go and read up. What age does middle age start from? Around 35 is the middle of your life, guys. Just accept it. Like, you know, anyway, whatever. Right. So this dude is a middle-aged dude, and he is typical now, where it is that he's salivating after young girls. And he is using his budmadesa. He has taken over a family business, from what I understand, and it's doing really well. It's thriving. And he is sort of like a CEO, a leader in this organization. In my dream, he was running an organization that was very successful. And there was an intern girl there that I was with who was my best friend. And in and of myself, I was also an intern in this organization. So I was not who it is that I am in waking life. God was just showing me the context, the ecosystem. And my best friend and I were interns. And this guy was running this organization. I know that it wasn't me who I was in that dream, because later on there would be these 2 older women, but by older I mean they looked like they could have been 27 to 30. All right, that were independent, and both my friend and I admired them, that were working in this company, and we were like, oh, we want to be like them. So I was definitely not me. I was some kid. I was maybe like a 20-year-old in a company. Yeah, anyway, whatever. I'm walking around with my best friend, and this CEO guy, who is this dude that I used to go to primary school with, calls me and my friend in to show us a tour of the office, just the two of us. And he called both of us because I would imagine it was to not make it look obviously like he is crushing on my friend, like he is trying to capitalize or exploit the situation and make my friend his. He invites us into his office, and he was wearing a t-shirt, right, that had his face on it. And this t-shirt, his face on the t-shirt was witchy, because every time my friend, not me, but my friend in particular, every time my friend would look at his t-shirt and the face of this man on the t-shirt, she would spaz like hard knock. Like she would get like all like, oh my goodness, oh, he's so cute, he's so hot. So just by looking at a picture of this guy on his t-shirt, my friend was actually falling in love with this much older guy. He's 39, you're 20. Like, frankly, there's too much of a gap there. Anyway, whatever. My dream continued on in the state where my friend, every time she would see this guy's face, she would spaz and spaz and spaz. That dream ended with me admiring these other two professionals in this business, and I also went and took a shower. That's how the dream ended. When I woke up, I was like, God, why would you show me a dream about, let's say his name was Tepo. I was like, God, why would you show me a dream about Tepo? I mean, what's the relevance? What's the significance? And that's when the Lord let me know that this is the end result of these guys that mess with women when they're younger, and who don't basically gain the wisdom of the Proverbs in becoming much better men. They become typical midlife crisis older guys, and they ransack younger women. They do. They ransack younger women. They insist on being with younger girls. After messing up with their baby mamas, they now want something fresh. And because younger women tend to not be physically attracted to older guys, they're slapping them now. It appears there is an epidemic of it with Korobela. That guy in my dream had made another older woman a witch. So basically they keep dropping bombs all throughout their lives. In their timelines, they have lain waste so many women. They have converted so many women into little cadavers that don't nobody know whether they're coming or going. Yeah, so God was showing me that that guy is now basically a typical But Madresa that is into little girls, and he's exploiting his position of power as CEO or MD in a company to basically cause young women that are his interns, interning for his organization, to work there. He is causing them, he's sleeping with them, he's drugging them with Korobela. And then next thing, he is properly and thoroughly seen as viable by them. Constitution that he wore in this dream was that of Pinky Pinky. So I told you guys about that movie that I watched on Showmax the other day called Pinky Pinky. It's basically this like sexually perverted guy that dies in a sexually perverted stance and haunts little girls in a bathroom and kills them. So basically these younger girls, these younger women, these men end up becoming a Pinky Pinky, a haunting to younger women, and they're dead inside, but they lay waste younger women. And we know how the epidemic of HIV is being proliferated a lot among the youth, however, first being injected into their genome, their ecosystem and their blood by older men. Middle-aged men are infecting Gen Zs or younger women, and these Gen Zs are infecting each other, and so it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. And this dude was like a typical But Madresa that's like nearly 40 trying to sleep with a 20-year-old girl. I used to find them disgusting in corporate go MTN where I used to work. These older kethas ba untidy ba clumsy ba batlang these 25-year-old girls, and it's like, but you're married and you're like what, like almost 50, and yet he's out just salivating after you, telling you he'll take you to Cape Town, telling you he'll take you to Paris, telling you he'll whatever. It's like the cycle keeps on continuing. When you look at these guys in their youth, they look so good. They look like they could never ever ever be that desperate. They look like they could never ever be that keep on sharing our girlfriends. Yeah, and then you become a 40-year-old typical. Now that you're 40, you're busy when I'm 20-year-olds in the company. Like, these are my peers. I can't even believe they're doing that now. Where back in the day, they were the cool dudes that were looking at all the guys on some stop, like, sharing our girlfriends. And now they're the ones sharing the girlfriends of Gen Z guys. It goes both ways. You can't say a pivot, but they are slapping young women in Korobela. But you see, Korobela, just like I said, that's the thing about it. Ultimately, people wake up and realize, I don't even like you. You're 40. You're 40, and I'm 20. I don't want you. She's in your bed, and she's your second wife. She's gonna wake up and realize, I did not sign up for this. And then she's gonna go and right ahead and have an affair with a 25-year-old guy. The guy that was supposed to be her husband. The guy that was supposed to be the one that she goes into the sunset with. You went and snatched her, you cradle snatcher, and married her because we're not Korobela. And it had knocked since you're a big man, you're a chunky head honcho now. And as the head honcho that you are, you've got a lot more money to pay spiritists to make your witchcraft stick a lot harder. So you go and you usurp a Generation Z child, and you snatch that cradle and you put her in your house as a 40-year-old man. When back in high school, I thought you were bigger than that. I guess cycles keep turning, don't they? Tables keep turning, don't they? That's what these men end up as. That little Kesha is now afflicting. Do you understand? Young kids the same way that girl from my high school was just 20, 21 when she had his first child. So now he's basically regenerating her in this modern generation. He wants now kid number 3, 4, 5 through still a 21-year-old, but you've aged an entire 10 years. You've aged an entire 20 years. You're 20 whole years older, but you still want a 20-year-old. But understand that if you go and you marry yourself a 20-year-old as a 40-year-old man, she's going to go right ahead and have an affair with a 26-year-old when she's 22. And you will not be able to contain their passion. I'm just saying. So men, since you're as territorial as you are, it's highly advisable that you should stay your hand from Korobela, because then you are putting yourself in a position to be devastated, shattered, and talking smack about a woman about how she's such a whore, when you put her in a position to end up a whore because you lis at her. You dragged her in a trance, hypnotized down the aisle to marry you. And now that she realizes that now that she sees now that she does not laugh at your jokes, she dozes off and ends up like every time you have a conversation. Now that she realizes that you're actually kind of dumb and you are not on her level intellectually. Now that she's waking up to see these things in the marriage. Now that she is sick and tired of being spanked in the bedroom. She's gonna go and have an affair with somebody that is gonna humor who she exactly is. She's sinning too, but this is not about the sin of the woman, this whole discussion. It is about the fact that men, you are territorial, and that is a major bust in the cap of the knee of your ego. It is the very thing that you're trying to fight, rule women, and then she goes and subdues herself under another king. You want to rule her as a king, bashing your chest on a mountaintop like King Kong, and then she goes and like proper pays homage and bows down to another king and treats him better. That's the kind of stuff that makes men crawl up a wall, converts you into little murderers. Orange is the new black one. You will go to Sun City for killing a woman and her lover when you put her in a position to have a lover in the first place. I'm just saying, be disincentivized from using Korobel, because it does not pay in the end. That little rando in America, Mengazongi Kenya, he was not going to be funny. I was going to salivate after other men out there. I was going to wonder why my life sucks so bad. I was going to hate what it does to me in the bedroom. I was going to hate my life. And the Bible says, husbands, be heads over your wives. Wives, your husbands are your heads. Because of the fact that I was so much more intelligent than him, I was going to have a hard time submitting. I was going to have a hard time letting him be head over me. Mara, no, for him, getting instant gratification. He just wanted a woman, mine, grapes, that he was attracted to, that he was going to inspire attraction in her no matter what. And for all of 5 seconds, she would have been hypnotized walking down the aisle to him. And then she would have woken up and realized, where the heck am I at? I want to get out. I wouldn't have cheated, but I would have had a mighty hard time staying loyal. I would have had a very difficult time submitting. Not on fraza. I was going to hate my life. And I was always going to look at God on something, but why did you let this end up being my life when God would have given me everything I need in a warning? So women, first and foremost, turn to Christ so that you can survive such infiltrations. And men, I would implore you to be disincentivized from using Korobela, because at the end of the day, you want to stay kings, don't you? King, like a king in a different tribe, and put them on a pedestal. And so therefore bust the cap in the knee of your ego. You will continue with Korobela. It's all I can say. I'm creating a business case against Korobela, but if you want to carry on anyway and get your bread buttered on both sides, have your cake and eat it too, if you want to insist anyway, Ambani. But don't be calling your wife a whore 5 years later when she's with who exactly she was supposed to be with all along. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K. Peace.